Okay, we'll get started. We might have some people joining late. I trust that everybody can see the presentation okay. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone. Wherever on the globe you may be. By way of introduction, I'm Ryan Burley, Director of Sales and Business Development with GeoSolutions. As part of the GeoSolutions webinar series, today we'll be covering GeoNode, specifically the release of 3.3.1 and a preview of 4.0. As many of you are aware, GeoSolutions offers these free training webinars regularly covering a range of subjects from optimizing GeoServer performance to migrating from proprietary databases to PostGIS to advanced styling, just to name a few. And we recommend that you check out our YouTube channel as an educational resource for past webinar sessions. The session today will be recorded and added to the channel as well. A bit about GeoSolutions. GeoSolutions is a core developer of several open source GIS products, including GeoServer, MapStore, GeoNode, and GeoNetwork. GeoServer is likely the most recognized application of the four, which allows you to serve all types of geospatial data utilizing OGC supporting clients to ingest and view the data. MapStore is an open source web GIS framework, which works seamlessly with GeoServer to build web GIS applications. GeoNode, which we're covering today, uses GeoServer for the heavy lifting of the data, PostGIS for storage, and MapStore for visualization. And GeoNetwork is the catalog service utilized as a discovery component. As an open source company, GeoSolutions does not sell software licenses. Our business model is built around supporting these products and customer open source deployments. We support our customers through enterprise support services, essentially providing customers annual packs of support hours, which can be spent on any variety of incidents, development support, consulting, etc. Through deployment subscription, customers can rely on GeoSolutions to provide certified installation of GeoServer, for example, which includes monitoring, automatic bug fixes, prevention of downtime, and we essentially take care of the full deployment. GeoSolutions will also provide customized solutions for whatever unique requirements our solutions might have. And of course, we provide professional training through our catalog of training courses offered to all levels of open source user, from introductory GeoServer courses to advanced level deployment courses, in support of growing the technical capacity of the open source community. We currently have more than 200 clients globally, with a large concentration in Europe and the US. You see some of our clients listed at the bottom of the slide. We've seen growth in local city government, oil and gas, natural resources, mining, and lately defense and intelligence, which is aligned with government initiatives promoting the use of open source GIS to increase interoperability and decrease licensing costs. We started in defense at a NATO center in Italy, and due to the nature of GIS being everywhere, now work across a variety of different industries. We have broad and deep experience supporting open source across these industries, giving you a solid and trusted industry partner in GeoSolutions to support your open source deployment, regardless of your industry. We're a strong supporter of OGC standards, OSGeo, and actively engaged through OGC to advance open standards. The solutions, GeoSolutions USA, the subsidiary, is a member of the United States Geospatial Intelligence Foundation, and we can be found at a number of user conferences, workshops, and events throughout the year. GeoSolutions has a very high concentration of code level development expertise, supporting GeoNode, GeoServer, MapStore, and GeoNetwork. This wealth of expertise is apparent in our collective resume, which is displayed here. GeoSolutions developers are behind the design and development of GI extension, image IO extension, most raster code and GeoTools, GeoServer, and you see the extensive list of experience working with different data types, databases, big data cloud environments, web GIS application design, and of course, OGC protocols. GeoSolutions currently has over 30 engineers, many of which are the main code contributors for the products they support and develop. Two of which you have the pleasure of hearing from today, Alessio Fabiani and Giovanni Allegri. Alessio is a co-founder of GeoSolutions and lead developer, and Giovanni is senior project manager for QGIS and GeoNode. So with that, we want to thank everyone for attending, and Alessio, take it away. Also, I want to emphasize that you can ask questions through the Q&A chat, and we'll address questions towards the conclusion of the webinar.
Okay, thank you, Ryan. Thanks for the presentation. Hello, everyone. Thank you for attending the webinar. I'm happy to see all those people attending from around the world. I see Brazil, Chile, New Zealand, Argentina, Germany. So a lot of seems like we have a lot of people from around the world. Okay, so Norway, nice. Portugal, right? Okay, so I'm going to share the screen. Okay. Hope you are able to see the presentation. So we are going to give some excursus of the main features on the upcoming releases. Hopefully in February, we are almost ready. The 3.3.1 and the 4.0 alpha, I would say, version, because it's a preview of a brand new interface of GeoNode and completely revised architecture. Okay, so moving on, this is currently the project steering committee of GeoNode. It is actually composed by 5 people. Me, Alessio Fabiani, Giovanni Allegri, which is also part of GeoSolutions. He is a project manager on GeoSolutions, and currently he basically, I would say, completely follow the development of the 4.0 version of GeoNode. In particular, he revised completely the user interface, and he focused on the GeoNode functionalities in order to allow users to have much better interaction with the user interface, and also it allowed us to bring GeoNode to use top technologies and currently available, especially on the front-end side. Then we have Florian, which I know he is also attending the webinar. Hi, Florian. He is from the TUNET Institute from Germany, and he is also proposing some very nice features and sponsoring some of the very cool development on GeoNode part, especially focused on the scientists and geospatial data management for research and scientific use and development. Then we have Tony. He is also from Germany. I don't think he is attending the webinar today. And Francesco Bartoli is Italian too. He is owning its own business, which is called GeoBeyond. And I don't think he's attending the webinar either. Okay, let's move on. I guess everyone more or less knows what GeoNode is. GeoNode, it's a web framework based on Python and Django that allows people mainly to upload seamlessly geospatial datasets and also some non-geospatial datasets like images, video, audio, and so and media contents. Describe the dataset that they upload into the catalog and disseminate through the APIs and Open Geospatial compliant protocols those datasets and metadata and their associated metadata through the web. Of course, GeoNode it's an integration system mainly that and it uses some components. In particular, currently, it benefits of GeoServer as a geospatial service, PostgreSQL as a vector database, geospatial database, PyCSW catalog service, and Django as a middleware. We usually define GeoNode as a geospatial content management system because one of the main goals of GeoNode is to allow people interacting with the contents of the catalog completely through the browser interface, through the web interface. And also another main goal of GeoNode is to try to make all those things easy to use, even for non-GIS expert users. Yeah, so as I briefly introduced before, GeoNode has several capabilities. The first one, of course, is to upload geospatial datasets directly from your own PC and then expose them through the OGC protocols, create thematic maps, geostories, dashboard, and so on. This is a brief recap, a brief summary of the releases history. So as you can see from this slide, GeoNode started back in 2010. And now we are almost ready to release GeoNode on February 2022. Probably the last version of the 3.2 train, and the beginning of the new 4.0 release, which is much different from the previous ones. The releases that we are going to cover during this presentation, there's a typo, not presentation, but anyway, are the 3.3.1 and 4.0 alpha. GeoNetwork currently has been removed from, at least from the 4.0 version. It can be taken back as a CSW, but currently when we provide the default installation, we ship the installation with PyCSW. Okay, there are online demos available that you can try by yourself. They are constantly updated with the latest commit. So you can try the functionalities and the latest updates for the 3 version available of GeoNode currently. The maintenance one, 3.2.3, which is reachable through this stable.demo.geonode.org endpoint. The 3.3.1 version, which is reachable through this development.demo.geonode.org. And the latest one, the 4.0 version, which is available through the master.demo.geonode.org. We, as usual, strongly suggest to upgrade to the latest version. The node word comes because GeoNode, because in the typical installation, in wide installation, you can think of each instance of GeoNode as a local node, which can be connected in order to create a shared catalog of GeoNodes, and you can even import data from one GeoNode to another one. So as I was saying, we strongly suggest to upgrade GeoNode because the latest version of GeoNode, of course, a lot of security fixes other than bug fixes. Also, if you are very far from the newest version, moving data from older version, it might be tricky and eventually very hard to achieve. Also, while we move on, the web interfaces and GIS clients are much different. And most of the time, it won't be possible to backport some fixes or improvements to the old ones. Okay, so I'm going to start with the upcoming release 3.3.1. First of all, the new releases now are shipped with GeoServer 2.19. This is not the very last version of GeoServer, but at least this is one of the most recent ones. In particular, this version has a lot of improvements and critical security fixes. One of them is the well-known fix for the log4j zero-day vulnerability, which was an exploit discovered a few weeks ago. Also, we have several security fixes for the GeoServer out authentication filter. And then we have several of improvements, especially for the feature templating machinery, geofence module interaction, and the GeoServer importer, which is basically the module used by GeoNode to configure the datasets, the geospatial datasets into GeoServer. Also, there are very nice improvements on the web processing services of GeoServer, in particular into the web processing service download process, which is now used by GeoNode in order to export your datasets into several different formats. Also job package 1, as we will see later on during the presentation. The new release benefits of the new Map Store client version 3.3.x, which has very improvements. It does a lot of improvements into the search services. Also, the option to save the map and the maps are now fully supported. So you can basically store into the GeoNode catalog the preferences from each map differently. It provides an advanced style editor with the graphical UI user interface. And also, it has a brand new Map Store client configuration subsystem, which aims to make more easy the process of configuring and plugging in the widgets from App Store into GeoNode. It is not yet perfect, I would say, but at least it's a first approach to have a fully modular and externalized configuration system from App Store. Also, the new version of Map Store supports the group layer as named groups. That means that in the table of contents, you will be able to create groups of layers and check and uncheck them with a single click. Okay, moving into the details. We have, as I said before, an upgraded advanced styler. This is not much different from the previous 3.3.0 version. Basically, the functionalities are the same, except that it has some bug fixes with about the interaction with the server. And it is much more stable now. And few other improvements for the usability. Other than this, basically the functionalities are the same as the previous version. So we have vector and raster data classifications, as you can see from this screenshot here. You can use well-known markers in order to create some nice style, and also it provides some advanced styling options like the scale denominators, labeling, and so on. Okay, we have this brand new WPS-based asynchronous export into the new version of the MapStore client. So this is basically allows us to benefit of the GeoServer web processing service to asynchronously download the current geospatial dataset into several different output formats and projections. It has also some new cool functionalities like cropping, so you can crop the dataset to the viewport or to a specific region. You can filter somehow the datasets, and in case of raster datasets, you can also choose the compression level, the type of compression, and internal tiling. And last but not least, these new widgets, this new process of GeoServer now supports also the GeoPackage output format other than the usual ones. Those are also some widgets which were available from the previous version. So we have some several UI-based comparison tools like slides and spyglasses. This is how we can create some groups and subgroups into the table of contents of MapStore in order to group together several overlays. In this new version, we have the GeoStories. The GeoStories have been introduced already on the 3.2.0 version of GeoNode, but are now much improved. And now they support also annotations and dynamic interaction with the maps. This is a brand new thing that has been introduced with the 3.3.0 version of GeoNode. So the integration of the dashboards into GeoNode. The dashboard, as you can see, it's a way to organize both geospatial datasets and dynamic widgets into a dashboard. You can customize the position, the dimension of the widgets and the several windows in order to create complex dashboard like you see into this screenshot here. The GeoNode REST APIs, those has been introduced already in the 3.0 version, but now they have been improved a lot. In these upcoming releases, there are plenty of updates and improvements. They expose now almost all the GeoNode resources available into the catalog, and they have very interesting features provided by the dynamic REST library, which allows us to create complex searching, sorting, filtering, ordering, and file and field embedding queries. The REST APIs are completely pluggable and modular. So whenever you have a package that you would like to develop and attach to GeoNode, you can even extend the GeoNode REST APIs with your own APIs. By benefiting of the new API subsystem, GeoNode now also exposes some interfaces to run not all, but some of the management commands. So basically, you can now decide from at configuration level which management commands you would like to expose to both the GeoNode admin dashboard and the GeoNode API endpoints. So as you can see from this slide here, you can either run an execution of a management command from the administration dashboard, or run and follow the execution from the terminal by issuing a request to the to a specific GeoNode API endpoint. There are some nice improvements for the supports of the Thesauri. Again, this is not completely new. The Thesauri have been introduced already in the previous versions, but now they have been improved, especially with the interaction of the catalog and the resource-based model. And recently, we merged a pull request that allows us to benefit of the RDF-lib to support a wider range of RDF formats for the Thesauri. Also, the Thesauri are now manageable directly from the admin panel, other than as usual from the command line through the management commands. There have been very nice improvements on the upload subsystem. We fixed a bunch of bugs, especially on the management of the asynchronous executions. But also we have some brand new features, like now we can dynamically configure the size limits, which are distinct from documents and datasets. So basically from the administration panel, you can decide the maximum size of the files that you allow to upload into GeoNode. And also the architecture of the upload subsystem has been improved by using the Smart Open library, which allows us to read data sources not only from the file system, but also from remote systems like S3, Azure, HDF, HTTP, SFTP, and so on. Currently, from the web UI, it is not possible to choose a different source from the file system. So from the UI, you can just upload the file from your local file system, but the architecture supports already the possibility to read data sources from remote endpoints. Metadata enhancements. This is a quite recent development too. Basically, now the resource-based model has a new generic extra metadata JSON field that will allows us to basically dynamically extend the metadata fields of the resources and the data sets, basically. So what we have to do is to define the JSON schema of the extra metadata from the settings. Usually the default one is sufficient. This extra metadata field will be exposed on the Metadata Advanced Editor user interface. The contents of the extra metadata fields will be validated against the schema that we have defined into the settings automatically. And eventually, if everything goes well, the new values that we added dynamically to the metadata will be automatically converted into dynamic filters on the dataset listing interfaces. Of course, you can interact with these fields also by using the API endpoints. So you can read and write the extra metadata contents through the REST endpoints. Okay, now what's new in the new upcoming release 4.0? Don't know if Giovanni, would you like to take the... Okay, would you like to share the screen or would you like me to?
I can share it.
Okay, so let me stop sharing. Okay, go ahead.
Okay, just let me find the window. Where is it? I don't know why it's not showing up. Just a second, please. Okay. Okay, I think I will have to share my screen entirely. Okay, can you see the presentation?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, so yeah, I don't know how to remove this. Okay. So 4.0, which is the current master, as many of you knows, is big refactoring of both the client and several parts of the backend. Many things on the backend have been ported to 3.3. Some architectural changes, of course, only apply to master, and in the upcoming months, these changes will be more substantial. I mean, for example, we are going to deprecate the legacy API system and also some legacy interfaces and views, because the goal of this new version is to improve, of course, the internal architecture of GeoNode to support more advanced usage use cases, also beyond the simple management system that we all know, but GeoNode is more and more employed inside more advanced and complex contexts where we need an integration with continuous upload of data, or where we need the scalability and also high availability. So all the changes that we are introducing are meant to support both the typical use case that we know for GeoNode and more advanced use cases. So increasing the robustness of GeoNode, And so several parts we wanted to review and change or get rid of stale code that made the good work until now, but it's time to change something and to also replace very old codes that was hard to maintain or duplications inside GeoNode. So this transition is must be done very carefully. So we did bit by bit. Sometimes we had to drop some functionality, and probably some functionality would be reintroduced later. But yeah, I will show something along the way. And on the other side, we wanted to make GeoNode mainly a REST API core. So the goal is to completely separate the client, the user interface from the core. And so having expanded the REST API of GeoNode means that it can be used more and more by third-party clients and can be completely controlled by external applications without. I mean, we have of course a reference client applications, which is the one based on MapStore, but it's not the only one that can do everything. So I will start from the front end. So the front end now is a single page application for the most part. It's built on MapStore and React and all the ecosystem of the MapStore framework. The decision to move to a sort of a single page application was for improve the performances, so avoid reloading on each transition between pages. Review the user experience to reduce the number of clicks to execute some actions, reduce the number of steps to move between the various tools that GeoNode provide. Reduce duplication, because in the previous version we have some duplicated functionality between the GeoNode pages, resource pages, and the GeoNode and the MapStore clients, and it wasn't clear where the separation was. So something was in the old interface, something was provided by the client, MapStore client interface. So it wasn't very easy to understand where things are expected to be. So we unified a bit the interface and reduced the steps without, I will give you an overview, a live overview of the new interface later. An important thing, I think I have lost one. Yeah, I think I've lost some pages from the presentation. I will show them live later. One thing that concerned other people was that using a single page application based on MapStore, it would become harder to customize GeoNode as we are used to do. Well, for certain parts, yes. I mean, to customize the homepage, for example, or to customize the editors and the viewers, you have to work with MapStore. But as a whole, GeoNode still provides the ability to customize the branding through the DEM system, which has been simplified a lot compared to 3.3. Now we have less options, but from our experience, they are the most important ones, like a set of variants of colors available, provided by the client itself, and the ability to change the background of the header, the name, the logo, the links in the footers. So the main parts are still manageable from the admin, but also you can, I'm not showing it here, but you can also use the templating system in Django to customize even deeper how the visualization, how they appear. So the the layout and mainly the colors, the CSS rules and whatever. So the documentation from the client has been expanded a lot to tell how to customize all the bits that compose the client application, because the client as the JavaScript bundle is contained inside a Django template. So the shell, the container, is still a Django template, and you can put your hands inside this template to adapt it. And for example, you can still add new links, new menus, and also custom pages, as in this case, where alerts projects are provided by the custom GeoNode project. So we still have quite a lot of flexibility with the new client. Here's an example of a custom page inside GeoNode. We have optimized the interface for mobile. It was done also for 3.3x, and we ported it on master, and we did even some more steps in master. So GeoNode is ready to be used on mobile, where we drop some actions and some sections because they are not very useful in a mobile context. So some management functionality has been hidden from the mobile version to give more usability and clean up the interface for a user that uses GeoNode from mobile. Yeah, so we have retained several things from the old version, from 3.3x, even if in different with a different layout. For example, the filtering that we have in the sidebar of GeoNode is still there. And we, by the way, instead of being separated by type of resources, we have everything inside a single page and the ability to filter by several criteria. And also these filters can be configured dynamically. So you can even add your own filters in configuration. So you can add additional filters here. And they are synchronized with the search bar and with the URL. So from configuration, you can add new menus, new filters in the sidebar easily without having to touch the code. So another improvement in customization. All these cards if you click on a card, a quick preview is opened with the live view of the content in the sidebar. So you can move around the cards without having to open the detailed page as before to preview the content. And also we wanted to make this page also sort of a workspace, or your personal workspace. So in the same page, if you change the way you represent the cards, clicking on the icon behind at the left of the order by, you can switch between a grid view or a list view. And if you filter by my resources, actually you have your own personal workspace. This workspace also shows three dots in the top right of the card. I haven't screenshot of that, but these three dots will give you quick actions on the resource, like cloning, deleting, and more will come, for example, downloading. So everything is in a single view. So a big effort has been put to optimize this view. And the viewers, we removed the detail page and the viewer page as we have in 3.3. We have a single page. So from here, if you click view, the resource is directly opened, and you directly have the view of the resource with the panel containing the information, the metadata information. And from the same view, if you are logged in and you have the grants to manage the resource, you have all the toolbar, actions toolbar at the top, that give you quick access to all the actions, editing, sharing, printing, exporting, and all the rest. Many more will be added along the way because we are restoring some functionality that was dropped because we had to drop, having changed a lot of the UI and the backend, but we are also restoring the most of them. This is a single page, so all the transition from here to here to here, everything happens without reloading the page. So only the content is reloaded. So from the point of view of the user experience, we have much better performances and less jumps. We have integrated the editors, style editor, and the data editor inside the same page. So you have everything at one click away. Another change has been done recently, which is the new upload pages. We have dropped the old pages. We have simplified them. As you can see, we have just the Dropbox on the left, where you can upload or drop files, multiple files. And when the upload, the transmission completes, the import phase starts on the right, and you have the list of imports. You can stop them. You can interact with the upload if needed, for example, to configure time series. And the same is done for documents. You will notice that we don't have permissions anymore. The reason is that on master, we decided to use the default permissions that are configured for GeoNode. They can be configured by the settings. So project per project, you can decide if the resource will be public by default or private by default. So when the user creates the resource, the default permissions are applied. Then the user can change the permission through the share options. And this is the new change, another change in 4.0. We remove the permissions panel that we are used to have in 3.3x. We have simplified it. So instead of having the list of permissions and for each permission decide the users and the groups to which this permission is assigned, we reverted it. So it's been translated. And now we have the list of people and what permission every user or group has been assigned. So this is how all the platforms work today, right? So, and we have simplified the naming of permissions, what we call the compact permissions in 4.0. So now we have view, download, edit, and manage. So instead of the 6 or 7 types of permissions that we had before. And also we have differentiated the permissions depending on the resource type, because we have different types of effects. I mean, the permission have different effects according to the type. So for example, for documents, we have view metadata or view and download, because download and view cannot be split for documents. And it's not here, but for each user, we can also define, well, we cannot see it here, but for users, we can define the GeoLimits as we have before. So we have a new version of the set of the GeoLimits configuration to limit the permissions to special areas for single users. Oh, here it is. As you can see, we have the ability for each user or group to set the limits. Quick access to editing tools, as we said before. So editing info, where we can change the thumbnail from the preview directly. The edit metadata goes straight to the old wizard, so the compact view of metadata. And from there, you can go to the advanced metadata. But the default view for metadata editing is what we called the wizard before. Yeah, we have made a lot of improvements on the backend to manage asynchronous operations and the tracking. So the tracking of the execution of operations. So since many operations on the backend are asynchronous, we have to keep track of the status of each resource, and the client can show the status of the resource. For the moment, we are increasing the actions that can be tracked, or the actions that the client is aware of. But we already have these for deleting, cloning, or any other operations that make the resource unusable for a while. And everything is transparent to the user. So we don't have the spinner or we don't have the page blocked as we had before while the operation is running. So you can continue to operate on the other resources while things happen behind. We have harvesters, which would be a chapter by itself. But basically, the harvester permits to do advanced harvesting from remote sources with the scheduling. We can make a harvesting of data sets, of documents. We can harvest the resources as remote resources. So they appear in the catalog, but they still refer to the remote service. Or we can harvest to copy locally. So we harvest and we copy the resource as a local resource, but we keep a link with the remote service so that we can schedule updates of the resource. So even if the resource is local, it will be replaced by updated versions at the next turn. But I won't go too deep in here. And the remote services, as we had before, are still there, but now they are just a simplified interface on top of harvesters. So the remote service is just the tip of the iceberg, and the harvesters can do much more than what remote services can do. By the way, the harvesters, if remote services are not enough and you want to do more with harvesters, you have to use the Django administration to manage them. And there's a new documentation, an entire chapter of the documentation dedicated to this. Finally, we are going to release also together with Cartoza. Cartoza will do it. We developed with Cartoza the new QGIS plugin for GeoNode. I can show you if there's time. Where you can search for vectors and rasters from GeoNode. You can load them as WMS, WFS, or WCS. And when you load them as WFS or WCS, so like layer, vector layer or raster layer in GeoNode, in QGIS, you can edit them, you can change the styles, and the edits are directly applied to the region, to the GeoNode dataset, and also the styles are uploaded to GeoNode. Of course, with the limitations between what you can do with QGIS styles, which is very advanced, and what the SLD format supports. So, but I mean, for the most of the cases, it's enough, and you can have a one-to-one styling between what you do in QGIS and what you get in GeoNode, in GeoServer. And yeah, we have, it will be released next week, the first version of it, but it's already available as a plugin into the GeoNode QGIS plugin repository. So you can start playing with it. The plugin is compatible with 3.3x and 4.0 master. So it's not only for the 4.0. Well, yes, this is basically what I was saying before. We have completely revised the architecture of the several components like the resource service manager, the storage manager, and all the asynchronous scheduler that manages the asynchronous executions, and also the uploader, the harvester. So things are quite more complex and advanced than before. Of course, there are places in GeoNode that are still using the old components. So now not everything has been refactored to use the new components, but I mean, this is for the next months. And that's why we are releasing an alpha release, because it's good to use. I mean, production ready, should be production ready already, but it needs far more testing and some smoothing and some additional improvements, but it's there for you to test and use. Yeah, I will stop here for the moment. I don't know if there's time to make Ryan, I'm not watching the clock, but I don't know if we have time to make a quick demo.
You know, I don't think there's technically well, I guess there probably is a 1 hour limit, which would put us right at noon Eastern time. But if you have a demo, I would be interested in seeing it.
Okay.
I think there's time as long as people want to stay on. We're not shutting it down until we're done.
Okay. So yeah, this is the master demo instance that many of you will know. So it's tracking the master branch. So as you can see, this is the branch that we are going to release. This is the homepage that I was saying before. But when the homepage is just the homepage, which provides the feature, maps, and so on. But when you click on any resource, you will go to the catalog, which is the real single page application. So everything will happen inside this application. And as you can see, switching with this button, you switch between card and list view, and you can quickly preview the contents. This is a video, for example. It takes a while, maybe it's big. You have maps, you have other documents like images, whatever. And if you switch and you filter with My Resources, you are in your own area of work. So you have your own resources, and you can check your favorites resources, featured resources, then published and pending approval. These are only for administrators. So you can quickly see if there are resources in this status. And of course, the usual categories, keywords, regions, owners, and special extent. And the filters are synchronized with the URL. And this makes the application, the client, and the Django application able to interact for filtering. So you can set a filter here in the URL or through a custom menu, or configure a filter inside this, and they will be synchronized. So the Django application, I'm talking to developers here, the Django application and the client application are synchronized through the URL. So as you can see, so you can even share a view of this filter view by sharing this. If I reload it, the filter is still applied, as you can see. So when you filter, well, these are basically just quick filters as we have here. So if I set data sets, you see, you switch to these filters. In documents, it filters and maps and so on. Okay, so here we have the preview, which is a live view, and then you can favorite, you can share it, copy the resource URL, share it, or you can view the map, and you enter what we call the editor. So this is the same. If you have permissions, you will see all the actions here. If I log out, of course, I will be able only to view same. I will only have things for a normal user. Okay. Of course, you can add a layer if you want just to preview, but you cannot save it inside this map. Okay, let's get back. Okay. So the info panel shows the principal metadata. You can edit the title and the abstract directly here instead without going to the metadata. And then you can save and it will be saved. And you can change the thumbnail here by clicking either uploading an image or changing this. So if I move to an area and click apply, and then your thumbnail is applied and it will be already available. Of course, things go okay. I thought it went wrong during the presentation. And we have the save the map, save as to clone this map. We have the editing of the metadata. And as I was saying, editing the metadata opens the old interface of the wizard. But as you can see, we make some work to at least align the styling to the new fonts and colors. But in the future, probably also this page will become part of the new client. But you can still go to the advanced metadata from this button, and you get the complete metadata as we know. Sharing options is the new one. So you have the sharing link, you have the permissions. So who can view, who can edit this map, who can manage this map, so delete it or whatever, change the metadata and so on. You can add users or groups. And when you select a user, you can also, I don't remember where. Okay, I have to check. Alessio, the geo limits. Okay, I don't know. Probably there's a glitch.
Are you logged in as an administrator?
Yes.
Can you go back to the
We will see later.
Okay, try to add a...
Disappeared. I don't know. There's some, okay. Maybe we discovered the regression.
Until yesterday evening, they were there present.
I know. Let's see. Print is the usual print, and the measure tool annotations is something that was added to 3.3, and we also have it here. So the ability to add any annotation to the map. So geometry. So I can put a geometry in the map on the map, and it will be saved inside the map with the rest of the layers. So you have annotations layer here, so you can create any annotation that you want, and it will be, when you save it, it will be retained. And then the ability to add the layer, and these use the same. As you see, it was changed compared to the 3.3x. Now it uses the API. So it has the same layout as the home page, where you can filter the layers here. And yeah, it will be added to the map and you can save it, and that's all. Similar tools are available for the layers. So if I go to data sets, visualize this one. Now the share, of course, has more edit options. For example, edit the styles, opens the style editor. Here it is. So I can easily change color of apply it, and it was already saved. So the new style is applied. You can see that a lot of less jumps and clicks are needed to do what you already could do in 3.3x. Same for data. You have the data viewer and the editor, which also for geometrical editing of vectors. And metadata is the same, and you have the same actions as before. Share, all the rest is the same. You can filter the data set, so you can add a rectangle to apply a filter on this data set and just work on this filtered view. And having the filter applied, you can export using the filter that you have. So you decide which version and you can download. Otherwise, oh no, this one, download filter dataset. With the cropped dataset to current viewport, instead you are going to download the data that you have inside the current viewport. You can create a map from here. So this is a new map, brand new map with a new layer, taking time to load, okay? And you can save the map directly from here. The new addition, what I was trying, okay, yeah, we haven't seen the dashboard GeoStories, but they are, I mean, they work the same as we had. One important thing that we added to GeoStories and dashboards is the ability to synchronize. This sync button that, of course, needs some more helper tooltips. Does one important thing that has been asked by many of you, which is when you create a dashboard or a GeoStory, particularly this is important for also for GeoStories. I have this map included in the GeoStory. This map is a snapshot of the map resource as it was when I created this GeoStory. So if I change the map, for example, if I add a new layer or change the style of a layer inside the map or whatever, it won't be reflected inside this map, inside this GeoStory. So in 3.3x, the only option is to remove and re-add again at the map to have a new version of the map. Now you can simply click the sync button and it will synchronize all the resources, layers, maps, or documents that you have embedded inside the GeoStory. It will synchronize the resources to the original resources. So the map will be updated and the documents will be updated too. And this is an important functionality that was added recently. What else? I think most of the things have been covered here. There are many things that could be said about the backend, because now, for example, we have the ability to upload resources from remote, as Alessio was mentioning, and from remote sources, so HTTPS, S3, whatever. The next steps that probably will land into also there's the release, I don't know, or the beta release will be the new REST API will be adapted, including the management commands will be adapted to allow creation of resources from remote sources. So instead of directly uploading the file, you will just say, okay, take the resource from there. This is something that is also covered by harvesters, but harvesters are a specialized component meant to keep a constant connection with the the remote source, the remote service. So, and it's meant to use remote APIs like an external GeoNode or WMS service, an ArcGIS REST service. So it's meant to work with services that from which we can pull and harvest resources. This other way option is to tell just one shot. Take this file from this S3 bucket and stop. It will do it once and it will forget. So it will become like a normal upload to GeoNode. So, I mean, it's just a preview of what is coming, and more will come with the next releases.
Any chance to show the QGIS plugin?
Oh, right. The QGIS interface is here. So the new QGIS plugin can be downloaded from the official repository. So it will appear as QGIS GeoNode. There is a new version. I'm not going to update it now, but I know it's a fix that was requested, but I will do it later. So the last version is 0.95. It was updated today. When you have downloaded, you can access it from the data source manager. So it doesn't provide its own plugin interface. You don't see any menu from the plugin. It integrates directly inside the windows that QGIS provide. So inside the data source manager, we have the usual sources that QGIS provide and the GeoNode plugin, where you can configure the remote source. So you can just give the GeoNode URL. You configure the basic authentication. So we use the integrated authentication systems in QGIS. So you just add a new basic auth method with username and password of your user. And yeah, search. And you have the list of resources. You can filter by vector, raster, or temporal extent and publication date. Or yeah, search by title or abstract keyword and so on. When you have the list of resources, you can either add them as WMS, WFS, or in case of rasters, you will have WCS, as you can see. So let's do it with vectors. And this is the link to GeoNode itself. So if you click it, it will open directly the viewer in GeoNode. If I add it as a WMS, it will simply add it as just a WMS view of the data. Okay. And you cannot do anything because it's just a WMS, so you cannot edit the style or edit the data. While if I add, let's say, something that I can break, I don't know, let's try this one. I'm adding as a vector layer, so now I have the actual vector data. So as you can see, I can style it and I can edit the vectors. So I can style it. So if I change, for example, the color of the vector, like this, okay. If I go to the properties, you will have another menu, GeoNode, that gives you the option to save the current style to GeoNode. So it will try to convert this style to an SLD style and send it to GeoNode. So let's try. And view the data set on GeoNode. Let's see. Probably there will be a cache. I don't know. No, it's already been changed, as you can see. And if I edit, I can move it here, save it, let's try to reopen it. I have to click this to remove the cache, but yeah, you can see it's been applied correctly. Of course, the same can be done. We can reload. If you make a change in GeoNode, you can reload the style here. And you can also change some metadata. For the moment, we can only change the metadata for title and abstract. Moreover, we can upload the layer to GeoNode. So if you create a new layer here from scratch, so batch, we can create a new layer, temporary sketch layer. I can make a test from GS and a string. Okay, and let's say point. Okay, I add point A, B, C. Okay. Okay, of course I have to save it. Export as a shapefile. Let's do it. Test points. Okay. Now I have this shapefile. Let's try load. Of course, it worked until this morning. Let's see if it's just something. Yeah, it's there. And here we have the points. Oh, wait. Yeah, A, B, and so on. Okay, probably there's a glitch here that doesn't stop this, but yeah. The 3 points, 1, 2, 3 are there. Okay, so I think it's that's all for the moment. I mean, this will be extended even more in the future to add more options, but I mean, the main things are already there. Okay. I don't know, do we want to give some time for answers or? Ryan? We lost Ryan. Alessio, can you hear me?
Hello, hello. Yes, okay. I can hear you. Yeah. So I tried already to answer some questions on the Q&A section. I've seen some questions here in the general chat. Don't know if you want to take some of them or. I see the questions coming on the Q&A. So let's try to answer by voice. So the first one is Alessio, is it possible to make GeoNode to edit features with tracking of users?
Well, it's already doable.
I mean, it is possible to. It is possible to say to GeoNode and GeoServer who can edit the features and who cannot edit the features. There's no logging mechanism or something that allows us to recognize from GeoNode who edited the feature. It probably could be possible by inspecting the GeoServer logs, but there's nothing, I mean, human friendly to recognize the changes in GeoNode, at least at this time. Don't know if that was the question. Okay, try maybe to put another question with more details if in the case. What could be, according to you, the best workflow to sync continuously PostgreSQL layers with GeoNode? The layers, if you update the PostgreSQL data into GeoNode, the features will be automatically updated. Probably the bounding box won't be automatically updated. So currently, at this time, the best workflow would be to update the bounding box on GeoServer and then run the sync GeoNode layers management command in order to allow GeoNode to update the bounding box accordingly. I don't know if we are going to envisage something automatic from the GeoNode interface or not.
Yeah, we have an open issue for that. We probably will work on that in the next version release, which is to allow to have an API and an endpoint to trigger the update of the BBox. It will update the BBox in GeoServer, and then the GeoServer will update itself from the data, and then we will get back the BBox from GeoServer and we'll update the BBox in GeoNode too, so that the client can, when you open the data set or the map, you are zoomed to the correct extent. But of course, if you change, as Alessio mentioned, if you change the data continuously, you will have to run, an automatic call to the GeoNode API to execute the update.
Yes. We will probably expose some endpoint, specific endpoint in order to do that automatically somehow. Does the QGIS plugin work with GeoNode 3.3.x? Yes, right, Giovanni?
Yes.
It is compatible.
Yes.
One last question: is the permission on data can be managed by the QGIS plugin?
No, at the moment, no. You can only, when you create a new layer, you can decide if to make it public or not by default. But on existing layers, you don't have the options to change the permissions now from QGIS.
Okay. Can you say again when version 4 will be available? Giovanni, when?
The alpha release will be available next week.
Next week.
Along with 3.3.2 and 3.2.3. So everything will be released together. It will be an alpha release, so you are invited to test and report back.
Okay, querying to Carlos, like editor tracking, if you with editor tracking, you mean versioning the response is no. But also having an history on GeoNode on who has edited the features. Also, it's not currently possible. It is not even supported. But it could be a nice feature.
Yeah, technically it's doable.
Not easy. Technically it's doable, yes, but it requires some non-trivial work to do that. Okay, I'm just using this REST upload endpoint in my code to upload zipped shapefile using JavaScript, and it works fine. Okay.
The REST upload endpoint, actually you should you better use the view, the upload view, which is not the API v2 endpoint, but it's the endpoint that also the client uses, and it exposes. You can upload using the form, the multi-part form. If you ask on Gitter or support channels, we can tell you.
Yeah, better to go to Gitter, to the Gitter channel or GitHub in order to have the. Basically, what you will need to do is to create a multi-part form, and you won't have to use the. So what you show here is the REST endpoint of GeoServer, which is good for spatial datasets that you want to upload into GeoServer. For the documents, you will need to hit a specific endpoint of GeoNode. I guess the ingest endpoint already supports the upload of documents. But
yeah. In any case, if you do that, as you are showing, you will have only an upload to GeoServer, but GeoNode won't be aware of it. So I guess you will do an update layers afterwards. I don't know. Anyway, let's go on.
What is the best way to change the upload page to pre-edit data client side for spatial masking before uploading, ingesting the data into GeoNode? Yeah, I guess you need to probably the best way would be to override or create another module and template that allows you to do that.
Yes. Otherwise, you can use the QGIS plugin.
The QGIS plugin, yes, or probably depending on what you have to do, you probably will need both. I mean, updating the templates and the module, and also envisage a specific REST endpoint for GeoNode. But I don't know. It really depends on the specific use case. In this case, probably the easiest way would be to go through the standard Django mechanism. And the target for an operational version 4, Giovanni?
For operational, we don't have yet a deadline, so it will be within this year for sure. But we will go through probably we will go through a beta release and at least one release candidate, because we want to test many cases, including the upgrade from existing setups. By the way, I mean the idea is to start using 4.0 already in production environments. I don't know if alpha is, we can say to use it in production, but I mean, yeah, it will happen in the next few months, and we will probably set a release time. Yep, in the next weeks.
Okay, so about the tracking, yeah, I see that ArcGIS has a similar functionality. Yep, as we said before, technically speaking, it's possible because we have already some offsets and some callbacks that allows us to intercept the transactions. But there is no code that currently is taking care of that. I mean, it should be implemented. It should be developed from scratch. Currently, there's nothing on GeoNode that keeps tracking or records the changes done to the features. It's something interesting, but yeah, it requires some development. Can I have an example about what? Sorry, can you remind me? Yeah, about the upload via REST on documents. Can you reach us on the Gitter channel, the official Gitter channel? We will speak about those technical things there, and we can try to provide some examples. Let me. Okay, thanks. Okay, I guess more or less we have done.
Yeah.
Alessio, will it be possible to discuss the use case at another time? Yes, maybe drop me an email, and we can try to find some time to maybe to make a call or something. I don't have much time, to be honest, but I will try.
Yeah, just drop us an email. Okay.
You can use the or the Gmail one or the
GeoSolutions group. Yeah.
GeoSolutions one. Alessio.Fabiani. Writing on the chat. Solutions.com. Or also info@GeoSolutions, maybe better.
Okay.
Nice. Thanks. Okay, Florian, see you.
Bye, Florian. And I think we can close the webinar. Thanks everyone for attending, and hope to see you on the many channels that we have there.
Okay.
Okay.
Goodbye, everyone. Thank you.
Bye, everyone.